What
Only
up? What
place
up?
to be, Vandals, everybody else lurking out there in the darkness. This is a brand new pulse-pounding episode of How Did We Get Here? And oh my God, look at who's back. Like we got a returning cast member. We got Mr. Goose in the house, looking almost unrecognizable, man. He's sexy Goose now. Check him out.
Shaved
But
out my beard.
but the man of the week, of course, is Mr. James Edward Clark. Go ahead and say hello, sir.
Hey, how's it going? I'm James Edward Clark. I do a book called Pissant Apocalypse. It's kickstarting right now. We're about 10 days left on the campaign, and we're fully funded. And I just announced some stretch goals today. And yeah, it's kind of the whole pitch.
I got the link for the Kickstarter in the description, and I'm going to post it in the chat right now for all y'all. So,
Yeah.
You got the
Go
trailer?
yeah.
Yeah, we're going to run that trailer for you. And your Kickstarter, like you said, it's fully funded, 10 days left. People should go check that out, back it. And you're, what, almost at 120%. So with 10
it's
days
about,
left.
Yeah. We asked for $10,000 Canadian. We're at about 11,500 last time I checked.
Nice.
So yeah, right now we're just trying to get as much money as we can so we can invest it back in the book, get the best product for everybody. And
All right.
yeah, hopefully people check it out.
All right, so let's give them a little taste. Let's wet their whistle to try to get some people, entice some more people to go back this book.
Yeah, check out the
Go
trailer.
From
guys.
James Edward Clark, the acclaimed artist who brought you Tales to Enlighten and Evil Comics, is now pleased to introduce Pissant Apocalypse, the new 165-page post-apocalyptic graphic novel, now available for pre-order on Kickstarter. Follow our yellow two-fisted mutant renegade, accompanied by his trusty harem, across the future desolate desert wastelands on a quest of vengeance against the four architects of the apocalypse. Face down the genocidal General Candy and his genetically engineered beasts of war, for whom the only thing they thirst for more than the taste of human flesh is the evil General's magic beans. Meet the mad engineer of the apocalypse and learn the tragic fate of all those poor souls trapped within his doomed city of the future. Enter the lair of the alchemist of the apocalypse and learn the twisted alchemical wizard's demented secrets. And finally, ascend from your lowly earthly station to the highest spire of the king of the world's dark cathedral, where the maniacal monarch waits to do battle. Pissant Apocalypse is finished and ready to go to print. Only thing left needed to make this a reality is your support. Can your feeble mind comprehend? Can your poor broken heart endure? Can your twisted, mutilated body survive what awaits us all in the Pissant Apocalypse by James Edward Clark? Back today on Kickstarter.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So I'd like a lot of Kickstarters. This isn't just a single issue. This is the whole story. This is the whole collection.
This is a full 165-page graphic novel. You get the entire story. We're not messing around here. This is a book I worked on during the lockdowns. Originally, I printed them in these little mini comics, and I included them with my commissions for people that I would do. I just kind of came up with this gimmick of charging these dirt cheap commissions to people as kind of a way to distribute my comics. Because, shipping these, if I had to charge like $10-15, that's not worth it to people. So I had the added incentive of like a drawing of anything you want. And I just banged those out. And that was like actually how I support myself through the lockdowns.
Nice.
At the peak, I was cranking out like 6 of those a day.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was a pretty good deal. You had, I think, two options, right? You had a $50 commission where you draw anything, and I think for a little bit more,
it was
get
a larger
the commission with a comic. Yeah, exactly.
Well, they would the $50 one, you would get the latest issue of Pissant Apocalypse, and then if you wanted to pay $150, I would send you the whole thing, and you would get a larger piece than the other.
Okay.
There was. I made the drawings as small as I could, or as large as I could, while they still fit inside an envelope. So just like, how can I ship these out as cheaply as possible? So I came up with this gimmick of about end up being about 5.5 by 8.
Yeah,
Because that's how small it would be. Actually, I have a bunch of commissions here. I'm working on people because we have a special commission tier in the Kickstarter.
Nice.
I did that one the other day. There's Scarlet Witch Vision. That one's kind of pornographic, so let's not show that one. This one's for my buddy James Windsor Smith. He backed the commissions here. This
Nice.
is he's got a Kickstarter going on right now called Papa Balloon and Cactus, and these are all the my renditions of his characters from that Kickstarter.
Cool.
This is Chris Anderson's original commission, who I did an interview with, and we actually went through Paul Pope's book 100% the other week. So you can go out and find those videos and Chris Anderson's YouTube account, and he's got this 3-headed pig cyborg monster.
Nice.
That was a fun one to do. Somebody asked Eli Schwab, who we did an interview last week. He backed it live on air and got a commission, and he wanted a tank girl. So there's my tank girl.
Very cool.
Yeah, and then some more ones I probably shouldn't show on there. People who back Kickstarters, they're thirsty. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. There is quite a thirsty crowd on Kickstarter.
Like I was doing research into it as I was leading up to launching the campaign. It seems to be like you have the trick is you get a bunch of different covers, not safe for work covers, and you can do the gimmick where you're taking an item of clothing off and charge more for each different rendition of it. It's the same drawing, just with more clothes on it. Yeah. And then you get you charge a couple $100 for the fully nude one, and people pay it. It's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can increase how much money you make just by putting not safe for work in the title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't call what you do a gimmick where you do the commissions and send out the comic.
No,
I'd consider that an amazing deal, actually. That's what I would call that, because I've seen you always post those commissions, and you do some great work. So anyone, that's a steal as far as I'm concerned, not a gimmick. So it's a great deal. People should go and reach out and get a commission from you. And
we gave one away. Richard Morgan gave one away on our show for when we did his launch for Bam and Glam 7.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah. So yeah, you did a great job on that one.
Well, he was very nice because I didn't draw the guns exactly how they're supposed to be. I just did generic guns, but he paid me to do a second piece. So.
Oh yeah.
So he's a good guy for that.
Oh, I
did 2 pieces for him, so he gave away 1, I guess.
So you said you're working on this during the pandemic, and you also you were saying something about how Tales to Enlighten, kind of, because you worked on that with Matt King. Tales to Enlighten.
Yeah, I was actually working on Tales to Enlighten right up until lockdowns and everything started, and initially the big yellow guy who's the star of Pissant Apocalypse, he kind of emerged after this guy in the background, he kind of emerged through my sketchbooks as I was working on Tales to Enlighten. Towards the tail end, I was kind of ready to move on to a new thing because it's a pretty intense kind of project. If you've read Tales to Enlighten, in the back third of the book they go to kind of this club called Enlightenment. And it's kind of, that's the twist at the end. And it's populated by every famous character, every famous actor you ever seen. So I was just cranking out a million of these portraits. And Matt had a list of characters he wanted in the background. One of them was Ren Xerox, the European kind of Frankenstein. I think he was in Heavy Metal.
Yeah.
Yeah. He wanted him in there. And I knew what the character looked like, at least I thought I did, but I never actually read any of the comics. So in my head, he was about 3 times larger than he appears in the actual comic. So when I drew him, he just was this giant hulking yellow dude. And I just thought that was so much fun to draw, just a giant hulky muscle-bound yellow man. And I just kept drawing more and more in my sketchbook, and I kind of gave him the bandages so there'd be something distinct about him. And then other characters from the sketchbook, which actually I have right here, just sort of I pulled them into sort of this narrative I was forming as I was going through doing all these little drawings, like, this is the sketchbook here.
Nice.
You can see, and you can see him kind of develop. So you had this pig. There's the girl in the book, like she was in the sketchbook originally. And I just kind of pieced together the first issue from these little sketches, and I scanned them in and printed them out blue line, and ended up assembling most of the first issue, doing sort of these blue line re-inked reproductions of what was in my sketchbook and sort of piecing the narrative around. So if you read the story now, the first chapter especially kind of reads like almost a prologue.
Okay.
And as you go through it, it wasn't until I decided I was going to do an entire story and expand the whole thing. I came up with the rest of the story, which involves like the 4 architects of the apocalypse and everything. That's just kind of how I developed it. So originally it was kind of stream of consciousness, almost kind of like a fugue state, like 3 a.m. when my brain was shutting down. I would draw, like, pull up some reference and just draw some muscle guy, and just sort of like in my exhaustion come up with this kind of post-apocalyptic story he was in.
So that's pretty cool. You do each panel individually, and then you put them. Then you make the page from that.
Yeah. Well, if you read Pissant Apocalypse, I kind of get into this format where it's 2 panels a page. I would break that up sometimes where you'd have 4 panels, or the big moments you expand it to a splash page, and it gives the book kind of a rhythm and sort of makes it easier to follow. It was Tales to Enlighten was like super ambitious, over the top, everything's like, and the kitchen thing thrown at it. This is more like a stripped down, almost kind of reaction to that, I feel like. So the whole thing kind of, the work sort of informs one another.
That's pretty cool, because we've had another creator come on. He worked the same way for Nick Patera. For Axe Wielder John, he worked his book. He did each panel individually. So he didn't work full pages. He just did full, and it was crazy. He did 11/17. Each panel was 11/17. So each panel you see in his book, he drew on 11/17, and that's the way he did his. And I think what he said, the reason why he did that was so that he could sell more original art. Instead of a page, he's selling like panels.
It does work out that way.
Yeah,
a lot of my stuff is just kind of Frankenstein together in Photoshop. Like I'll draw individual characters. This is actually me, like trying to get away from some of my bad habits, trying to do it that way. And by the time I was halfway through the second issue, I just said fuck and went back to all my bad habits, where I'm drawing like different characters on different layers and just like compositing it all together in Photoshop. And because it's just my perfectionism takes over, and I can't help it myself.
Okay, so you do your line drawings, and then you scan them in, and then you finish it up digitally?
Yeah, in Photoshop.
In Photoshop? Cool. Nice. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, well, anyway, if you work panel per panel when you go to cons, you have more original art to sell and stuff,
I have like boxes and boxes of just original art.
So do you plan on hitting any cons with this book, or anything lined up?
Yeah. Most of the con season's kind of over. There's some smaller ones over the winter, so we'll see how things go. Yeah. If you can get comp for a table, it's worth spending the weekend. We'll see how things go.
Nice.
Hopefully people dig it. I haven't actually done work to con proper since like 2016. I think like London Con here in Ontario. I went up. They comped me a table and got me a hotel room, and that was like kind of the last one I had done for a long time. So I didn't really have anything to sell. I was just working on Tales to Enlighten for the longest time.
Yeah, that was another big book. Man, you like doing the you go all out, like full project.
Tales to Enlighten. Yeah, Tales to Enlighten was actually pitched to me when Matt first approached me. It was supposed to be, I remember it being like 32 pages. He says 24, and somehow that turned into 166 pages.
Yeah, he kind of went over that because we had him on a few months back.
He went overboard. Yeah, for reference, this is the first volume of Tales to Enlighten, and my contribution ends around here, right?
Yeah.
And then he had an entire second volume, which is even larger.
Yeah.
And this is all kind of short stories commissioned from different artists in the same Tales to Enlighten universe.
Yeah.
People have been asking, can I get can I do a tier where they can order Tales to Enlighten and Pissant Apocalypse at the same time. Unfortunately, I don't have any extra copies. Matt had them all because he handled the Kickstarter for that and the printing and everything. He did a fantastic job. But you'll have to go through his Etsy account.
Yeah.
King Megatrip on Etsy.
Yeah.
If you want to get a copy of Tales to Enlighten.
Yeah.
So, have you guys talked to Matt? You guys have talked to Matt, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you just said so, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I'll hand it over to Johnny or Goosey if you guys have any questions for James.
I've got a legacy question, and that is I usually ask this in interviews. What is your favorite Rocky movie?
I'm not actually that big a Rocky fan.
So he said Rocky 4 is what we all heard, and that was correct.
Yeah, that's probably the silliest one. Sure, let's go with that one. Yeah, I'm not big on Rocky. I don't know. I never got into it.
That's definitely fair. So when you're going into doing your work, what gets you into your headspace? Do you listen to a certain type of music? Do you read books or what? What gets you into that headspace to make something like Pissant Apocalypse?
I just have like YouTube or something going in the background, or movies or some show. I always have something playing in the background. The input almost needs to be greater than the output. And also, like, I spend long hours at the drawing board, so you need something to like fill the time. And like, if I got something that I find interesting playing in the background, it's no chore at all to sit there all day and just draw and draw. Yeah.
How many times did you listen to Clockwork Orange while making this book?
Well, I don't listen to the soundtrack too much, but that is like my favorite movie we were talking about. We were texting back and forth, and we're saying, this is the only autograph I ever paid for at a convention from a celebrity. This is Malcolm McDowell signed my copy of Clockwork Orange VHS.
Yeah.
I had this like on my shelf over there, like proudly on display all the time. But
yeah, that came up because there was a very prominent word that the main character likes to use, and when we were texting back and forth, that's what you said. It was inspired by Clockwork Orange, and I was
I was trying to come up, at least in the first issue especially, I was trying to come up with my own sort of future newspeak, sort of the English language is breaking down as we go into the post-apocalypse. And I kind of took influence from Clockwork Orange. It's one of the aspects of the movie I always really liked. They have like this whole original invented slang. It's like it takes you a while to get into, and you sort of like on multiple viewing, you start picking up like, oh, okay, so it's horror show means like really cool, and bitty means see. So, and it's such a great performance too. It all just flows so naturally from him. It's favorite movie, favorite performance by an actor. Malcolm McDowell, Clockwork Orange. You said
newspeak. I read Orange, and one of the things in the book is the slang is almost indecipherable, and so the copy that I got has a index in the back that explains all the slang, and so top-notch work.
I actually think the movie's better than the book, just because it's like easier to follow, and it's basically like if you read it, it's like a streamlined version of the book. Like I've had some people like argue with me. It's like, no, it's completely different. No, it's like basically the book. They like edit some scenes out. It's like every line of dialogue that's in the movies from the book directly. There's like a kind of a prologue afterwards, but like I don't really think it's necessary and doesn't really add much to the character. And I don't really believe a fucking thing Alex says, so I think he's full of shit at the end anyway. So not a reliable narrator.
I do prefer the movie to the book, but there is one aspect of the book that is a little bit more terrifying, and that is in the book they're like 13 and 14.
Well, he's supposed to be that in the movie, but he's obviously like 20-something. So yeah. That is like one of the more troubling aspects of the book, but that's kind of like the statement that they're trying to make, right?
Yeah.
What brought you, like, how did you come to the decision of making in the beginning he's called Boss, the main character, the big yellow dude. Why?
He never really has a name. I think by the end he's just kind of pop up his in my head.
Yeah.
Don't want to spoil the ending, but it's kind of obvious.
Yeah.
Once you get to the ending, it's like, oh yeah, that's kind of like where I was going the whole time. But I feel like it hits people from by surprise, but like you really think about it, it's like this is kind of the only place you could go and it being kind of a happy ending.
Yeah.
There was a song I was thinking of every time. Like I would think about the main character, "Degenerated" by Reagan's Youth. I don't know why that song. You don't. Okay.
I'll have to look that one up. Great. Do I think of like any particular music? Maybe like Dropkick Murphys, Going Up to Boston, but that's just sort of the feel of that song. But yeah, I don't know. There's like I guess like weird songs like Sam Cooke's "Smoke Rings" is a song I like, and it's kind of like I actually serialized it all on my Instagram account. If you go on there now, you scroll down far enough, you can probably see all the posts. And when I was serializing, I would post the pages up in my stories, and sometimes I would soundtrack it to certain songs I was listening to. But I have a weird kind of eclectic taste. I was like a punk rock kid. In college, I got more into like old soul music, like Sam Cooke and Otis Redding and stuff like that. And now I'm like super out of like what's popular or what the kids listen to, but I'll just pick up weird old stuff. Like I go to the Life Drawing, my friend Kagan's place, and he's a big I don't know, music. What's the word for like a guy who's real into music? Anyway, he's always turning me on to like some weird old random songs. Yeah.
I thought my Spotify algorithm was broken because they kept on giving me insane stuff. They gave me they were like, "Hey, you like electronic music? How about you listen to this group called Hallucination, which they do native chants over EDM music, and it's some pretty intense stuff." And then there's also like, "Oh, you like EDM? How about we add some bike horns into it?" And for a minute, I thought that my algorithm was broken, but then I my jam into
kind of robot out there. What are you saying?
Yeah. His algorithm is kicking in. I think that was actually a song from his Spotify playlist.
Oh yeah. I never got into Spotify. I just like kind of swipe songs off YouTube when I hear them.
Yeah, Johnny's
a
big YouTube fan for music as well.
Yeah, I'm a super basic. I still have the iPod Shuffle. I don't carry a phone. Like I was showing you my sketchbook that I had, and like you got all the sketches of people on the bus that I would do because like I don't have a cell phone. So while I'm riding on the bus, I'm drawing people while they look at their cell phones because they're looking down. They can't see me draw them. So like, yeah, you got people from the baseball game there.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm super like not into the streaming services or whatever. I don't have any streaming services. Mostly just like pirate stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it's on YouTube, right? I mean, it's not.
No, yeah. I'm not even that interested in like newer stuff. I'm like rather watch an old movie these days than something like it's come out in the last couple of years. Like we were talking before the show. Yeah, you asked me if I'm like a big movie buff. I'm like, yeah, like pre 2016, I'm pretty up to snuff on everything. But like after that, I just all fell away.
Yeah. But I mean, that covered what I needed to ask you, anyways, and that's like the huge Alejandro Jodorowsky vibes that I get from this book. Like you mentioned specifically the film that, I would say like El Topo, and there's like some Fondo Elise in.
I'm pretty like up front. I kind of ripped off the first half of El Topo for the plot of Pissant Apocalypse, and it was kind of again kind of a reaction to. Tales to Enlighten because there's a lot of Holy Mountain in that book, so they're kind of bouncing off of each other, I guess. I think I was watching like cartoons kayfabe, and that was kind of like my comfort food during the lockdowns. I just watched those videos because you got unplugged for a while. I think they were talking about Tim Truman's Scout, and that one had kind of the Scout character going on a mission through the desert to track down like these 4 demons. I'm like, oh yeah, that's kind of like El Topo. And then it's just sort of, I was thinking about it and I was like, oh yeah, that'd be a good kind of structure for the thing. And then you can each chapter he goes and he fights a new member of the Architects of the Apocalypse or end up being the villains. that they tracked down.
But the cool thing is like, whereas El Topo kind of took that story and did it with Western style stuff, you kind of subverted that and used like all these comic book tropes. So you kind of actually made a comic book El Topo almost perfect, in my opinion. Like, because like you got the big green mutant, you got the alchemist. I mean, you kind of tapped really into like hardcore, at least that's how I saw it, into some pretty hardcore comic book culture. But like you told this really beautiful, surreal story with it. So.
Yeah, I was sort of like really focused on making, like after the first one, focused on making each issue super tight, where you had those, 2-panel pages and you had 28 pages to work with, and just sort of mapping that out and getting a twist in there and getting all the information you need and making it super clear. And that was just kind of my goal for each issue. I feel like I kind of pulled that aspect of it off. There's kind of like, each of them has kind of like twists at the end, sort of contextualizes the whole story up to that point, and sort of like flips it on its head a bit in a fun way. And I was pretty satisfied with how they turned out. I was pretty happy with all of the issues.
Yeah, I freaking loved it, man. Like,
thank you, man.
I read Tales to Enlighten, and I fell in love with that's the first time I saw your art was from that book.
Yeah,
I remember seeing the Kickstarter and stuff, and then I'd backed a bunch of other stuff, so I wasn't able to back that one when it came out. So then I reached out to Matt. I was like, "Oh, dude, he's like, yeah, I have some on my Etsy." So I went and got it after the Kickstarter.
Yeah,
and,
cool.
Man, fell in love with your art. And then I started following you on Instagram after I read that, and then I kept seeing your ads for the commissions, and you'd tease like little panels from Pissant. And I was like, oh, this
I serialized the whole thing. I just put them out in order as I was doing them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was saying, I was doing those commissions. That was kind of like how I made money for a year or so, 18 months or something like that. For a while there. That was like how I was supporting myself. And when the commissions would slow down, then I would kind of like kick me in the ass. Okay, I gotta work on the next Pissant issue so I can get that out. Because then once I had a new product out for people, people who were fans of Pissant, they would come back and get another commission. So it ended up working out, and I ended up being able to basically float myself through the whole production of the book, and it was kind of a interesting way of doing it. And now we're just here at the end, and we just gotta get the thing printed.
Nice.
Do you have any plans of shopping it around, getting it published?
I'm open to it. It depends. I'm not I don't really care about getting in the stores or not, but I don't want to do that work. But if some publisher wants to, and I can keep the rights or whatever. That's just the one thing I'm kind of worried about with it. Once I do this run and sell out of that, then I'm certainly open to publishers coming up and taking it out to stores and whatnot. I actually have another book called Evil, which I plan to do another crowdfund in the spring once I fulfill this one. And that's actually my first book that I did. Okay. And I reworked that during the lockdowns too. So that'll be around May, hopefully.
You're going to re-release that? You're going to re-release it, or are you doing a second arc for it?
Well, I originally, I was working at a factory at the time, and I wanted to do a book, so I did this book called Evil, which is about a masked luchador wrestler fighting this satanic cult who's kidnapped his girlfriend. And then I kind of put it to the side to work on Tales to Enlighten. As soon as I finished that book, people started approaching me about drawing their book for money, and that's how I hooked up with Matt, and he gave me a page right for Tales to Enlighten. And then once the lockdown started, I had about I had published 3 issues, and once I got the 3 out, people started paying attention and getting articles written about it. And the job I was at, I got laid off from, and I just kind of made this decision where I was just going to focus on finishing this book I've been working on for a while. And as soon as as soon as I finished, people started paying me to do comics. And then, actually, my first big lockdown project was kind of a revision. I went through Evil again and reworked a lot of it because I had over 100 pages no one had ever seen before. So I put up panel by panel every day for like whatever it was, 18 months,
Yeah.
backward, the entire book backwards. So like if you scroll down, you can actually read the whole thing in order.
Yeah.
It was an
Oh.
interesting way of doing it, but I think
That
some
is
people
pretty
had a
cool.
hard time following it, but some people enjoyed it. But I think getting into print and letting people read the whole thing through, they'll appreciate it a lot more.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I loved it. I know when you sent me the review copy, I sent it over to Johnny, and he's like, "Yo, dude, this book's kind of weird." Like, and I was like, "Oh, I haven't even cracked it open yet. Like, I hadn't even loaded up the PDF yet." And I was like, "Oh man," I said, "Once I get through my other stuff for the other episodes, I'm gonna open it up."
It was
And
very
then-
encouragingly weird. It reminded me, my buddy Manny sent me a book called Galacto Pit Fighter by Kurt Burdick, and that really kind of blew me away. And then when I saw your book, I did know that you did Tales to Enlighten, but this one kind of reminded me a bit more of like this Galacto Pit Fighter, because it's kind of
I don't know. I see another indie guy. Is that
Yeah,
another indie guy?
Kickstarter
Cool.
dude.
yeah,
Oh no, I haven't heard of that one.
He does Death of Power too. That's kind of like
Oh, I know Death Power. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dave guys talked about that one. I
yeah.
guess that's his own creation. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, no, I think somebody compared my art to him, but I think it's sort of, we both have kind of a almost screen print kind of look to our stuff.
the coloring a little bit, but
Yeah, I think it's the coloring.
but it was more the style and how odd the book was, more than
Yeah.
the artwork that really reminded me of.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the oddness. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good way to put it. My book's
Yeah.
certainly odd. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, weird in the best kind of way.
But
Yeah.
they look super punk, and I love it.
Oh, it's like kind of super punk. Like I said, when I was a kid, I was a big punk rock kid. So I still have that mentality. And that was sort of a lot of the stuff, like in the first issue especially, a lot of the weirder stuff, it was just kind of the punk rock. I'm just going to put this out. It's the end of the world anyway. I'm going to, if you could do one last book at the end of the world, what would you do? And who cares? So the first issue especially had that kind of punk rock mentality. The second issue, I'm like, well, if this is going to be a series, I got to make this guy sympathetic. So I got to soften up the relationship with the girl.
Yeah.
It's okay, guys, they're in love. She's into it.
Yeah, that's it. That's it, Johnny. He read the first chapter and a half, I think. He's like, dude, I don't know. I was like, no, keep reading it. You'll see. It's
No,
it's
I
cool.
know.
It's
Yeah,
cool.
I think a lot of people have
Johnny
that
was
kind of-
worried at first. He's like, man, I don't know. Are we
I think
gonna... And I was like, no, dude, finish the second chapter. You'll see by the end of the second chapter, it all starts to make sense. And
I think
you'll
a lot
see
of
it's
people were like
actually-
that until like the very, very end, where they were like, this is like kind of dark, James. I don't know where you're going with this. I think like I think the ending caught a lot of people off guard, and they're like, because people, people they follow my stuff. They're fans of mine. We're friends, whatever. So they'll read it and they'll hear about how they're not. It's not. Yeah, it's good. Like the art's great, but like it's pretty dark. But then they got to the end, the very, very end. They're like, oh, well, what happens next? It's like so.
Yeah, but I mean, what really sells it is gets off the horse and he goes to the town.
Yeah.
And then she pulls him in and gives him a kiss before he goes. Then that's where it's like, that's where you see, okay, this is a consensual relationship where they both really care about one another. And like, that's where it's sold. Because up until that point, you're not really sure, right? The content.
What the dynamic is. There's sort of like little hints at the end where he's kind of tender with her at the last panel and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was just kind of, what was I going to say? I just felt like, if this guy's going to be sympathetic, he's going to be your protagonist, you have to show that, listen, the book's called Pissant Apocalypse. This is the most healthy relationship you're going to get in this situation.
Yeah. All right, we got Sequential has a question for you here.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking cool artwork. Congrats on the recognition. Do you use a preferred colorist or do you do your own coloring?
I do my own color. I would prefer if somebody else would color my shit for me, but
I don't know. I love your
I don't know. Yeah.
your coloring.
Well,
is
no, they have to use like flats. Like people try and like render my stuff, and they just because I use so much cross hatching and little ticks and stuff to suggest form and stuff, and then like people come over it with the rendering and it just doesn't look good. It just kind of becomes like diarrhea. So I would have to just like buckle down and be very like strict with them. Like, just do the flats. Don't try and render my shit.
Yeah. Your style's amazing. Like the way you color it, it's the perfect complement. The way you color it to your art. I mean, it just works so well together. And
I never thought I was like very good at Photoshop, but over the years I've kind of developed this style or approach to coloring, at least, where it complements and it works for what it is.
I think it's like you said, you don't try to over render it.
No, I don't.
It's more subtle.
I just plug the colors in and maybe do like a gradient here and there
a little bit
appropriate. Yeah. But usually I'm just doing most of the work in the drawing, and the sort of the colors just the icing on top to like really sell it, because color sells better than black and white.
Yeah, because I love the way your line work. You color. You use specific colors for the line work. It's not just
black. I do color holds.
I
exactly. Like sort of making people's skin like a reddish color instead of like the darker color I use, because that makes the skin look warm. You can see it there. Like they're right here, like there's a fire going on around them. There's like piles of thousands of dead bodies being burned in the background. So that's sort of a different mood. But yeah, usually if you look at my stuff, like the human characters will there'll be a color hold on this fleshy tones, because I like suggest like a warmth to it. Yeah. Makes it pop. You can see there the guy, two guys that have skin exposed.
So man, I love your style. Love your style. So where does that come from? What's your background?
I studied illustration at Sheridan here in Oakville, which is like a suburb.
Oakville, yes, I'm familiar with that school. Yeah.
Nice. John Kay, the guy who did Ren Stimpy, I just found out the other week he went there for a little bit. Yeah. There's a couple of famous people that came out of Sheridan.
It's got a good reputation.
Yeah, have you ever seen the movie Rock and Rule? Like a lot of those artists, they were in like the first animation. They're sort of known for like their animation department, but I studied illustration. Yeah. So I studied that, did that for a few years, and then I got out and had to pay my student debt back. So I worked in factories for a few years. Yeah, paid those off, and then I've been doing comics the last few years. It's easy when you're locked down, you can't go anywhere, get a job anyway. So
forces you to stay at that table.
It was kind of. I was like ready to go get a real job after Tales to Enlighten. I'm like, it's a tough way to make a living, but then they just shut the world down. It was weird. I don't know why God would care if I quit comics, but apparently I'm not allowed to quit. So
no, your work's too good to.
I guess.
I mean, that'd be a crime to the community, man, if you stopped trying.
Well, I would keep doing it, but just not full. I wouldn't be able to do it full time, obviously, if I got a job. But right now, I just I wake up in the morning, just work until like 3 a.m. and then go get some exercise. That's kind of my routine.
Nice.
And then Mondays I go light drawing.
That great timeless pulp style, though, man. It's just gorgeous.
Yeah. I get, at least earlier on, and when I was younger, I got a lot of comparisons to Paul Pope and sort of the inky,
I'd love to see your black and whites now. I want to see some of your black and whites now. Like
I got some right here. Yeah.
I am a huge Paul Pope fanatic. So
here's a cover. I already sold these. This is the cover issue 5 right here. What we got? Do I have it here? I guess. Oh, here it is. Yeah, there you go. Ugh. Excuse me.
Nice. Yeah, man.
These sold out. I have one more cover, but I have to assemble them because, like, you can see I was talking about my perfectionism, how I'll just like assemble stuff in Photoshop.
That was.
I love it. It was like a pop-up book.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Almost. Yeah.
It makes them unique. I have a fourth one, or the last cover I have is for issue 4. I haven't assembled yet, but I might do that for the final week. This was the last one I put up. This one sold within an hour of me putting it up.
Actually, make a bunch of those. I think you could sell those for decent money at cons, man. Like kind of panoramic, but like in that format with the different layers, man. That's a cool way to kind of do a print, in my opinion, man.
Yeah, no, I definitely could. Like I said, I have a whole box full of stuff. I could go through it and start assembling panels as sort of their own individual pieces. That would take forever, though. It's finding the time. But yeah, I put these together special for the campaign, and I've sold the first 4 covers I put up so far. I have 1 left. I might do, if I can find the time, assemble the last one for the last week.
Very
That's
nice.
a sort of special one.
The cover to that second one is incredible. That's what I was a second ago when I was pulling it up on my phone. That's the page that I was going to when you talked about the fleshy tones that you can see on his face. It's just
Which one?
fantastic. The one
with all the beasts.
Yes, that one. Sorry, third one.
Yeah, this is issue 3 here.
Yeah, I love that cover.
Yeah, that's what this one here. Yeah. Oof. Yeah.
That is. Yeah, I love it. That's insane.
So we got another question from Sequential here. He wants to know how you came to the format, the mini comic. What was your decision for making it a smaller format than, let's say, a standard American size comic?
Well, I had done Tales to Enlighten, and that was a super involved, like, massive project. I was kind of annoyed with Matt because this thing, I told him, like, don't print a 350-page book because it'll just be like, I just knew, like, shipping, because I've been shipping stuff for years, so, like, the heavier it is, the more expensive shit it is to ship. And it's just, he learned now, but he was, it's a beautiful edition. It looks great, and, like, you feel it. It's just like, as a commercial item, like, it's kind of impractical for, like, the distribution model we came up with, where we're just going to do a Kickstarter and mail it out to people.
Yeah.
So I let Matt handle the shipping.
Yeah.
He does a great job. Everybody has great things to say about his customer service. But like this is, like, a beautiful book and everything. What was I saying? So yeah. So, like, as kind of a reaction, like I keep saying, like, I wanted, how can I get my stuff out there as cheaply and as easily as possible? And I came up with the gimmick of doing the sketches for people. Like I said, I do them like 5 by 8, and that's exactly how big they need to be to fit in the envelope. And then I put one in there and ship it off, and that's like $350 for shipping.
Nice.
And I can ship anywhere in the States for that much.
So it was more of a cost efficiency type deal.
Yeah,
so that you could keep it, for the shipping, to keep the shipping costs low.
Yeah, it's like from the conception of the project, I conceived it to be sort of like as making a book as painlessly as possible, and like as few making as few obstacles for myself as possible. So doing them small, like you can print these off of your printer at home. Like I would go to Staples for the longest time and just use their copy machines. You put PDF in there, or the little thumb drive in there, and print off the PDFs. And do 10, 15 at a time. Yeah. And then I would go back I got in the routine for a while there. I would go back every week, just print more out because I needed them, and just print them as I went.
Very cool.
And it turned out to be a good way to do it. I don't know. I got to do the second volume of Evil because the first volume of Evil ends on a cliffhanger, so that will be normal comic book size. I got at least one big project like that in me.
So what size is the graphic novel for Pissant Apocalypse going to be? Is it
I'm going to blow it up to manga size. It's going to be about 5.25 by 7.5, the final version.
It'll be Tokuban size? Cool.
Yeah, exactly. But normal North American, was it left to right? Yeah. Yeah.
And that's all going to be bound in one volume. Yeah.
It's going to be nice compact thing, and like I'll need a bigger envelope, but it'll still be not too bad. And all the artwork it'll all probably fit in the same thing. Like if you order some original art or commission, it'll come out in the same package. So, and the zines I got zines too. You can get reprints of all my zines. I've done a few zines in the past. You can actually order them if you get the original zine tier. There's a bunch of different zines I had done over the years, so I was familiar with the format. And this is like the first series I'd really done. I had done a book right after Tales to Enlighten with writer Harrison Peck called Arthur and Boom Boom, which is kind of this Fleischer style cartoon character, kind of like Betty Boop or Popeye, and he sort of realizes that he's a cartoon character who keeps dying and coming back in different settings. Like Popeye. One cartoon he'll be like a pirate, next cartoon I don't know, be a vampire hunter or whatever. Same sort of idea, kind of like Betty Boop meets like Groundhog Day or Day After Tomorrow or Edge of Tomorrow, whatever that Tom Cruise movie was where he keeps dying and coming back. So it's kind of like the same concept for that book. And we only ended up doing one chapter of that, but I kind of proved the model of like making it and then shipping it to people, because I started, that's how like the deal started, where I'll do a sketch, I'll send it out, and then eventually I did this. A few months later, I finished Pissant, and that's how I did this one.
Now with the original zine 4-pack tier, because that is what I ended up backing. Now, does it comes with the trade paperback? Now, does that come signed?
I think I have like a tier for it, but for signed. But
yeah, that's what I was looking, because I see the signed one, and I got the one above that, so I wasn't sure if those came signed or not.
I have to check which tier you got. Maybe, probably. After a certain level, it's all signed, guys. You spend enough money.
We'll take my money.
Oh, appreciate it. Thank you for your support.
So if people want to go, because you're a great follow on Instagram, because you post all your stuff. So if people want to go check out your stuff to get even more of a taste of what you do, you go to James_Edward_Clark. You can find James there on Instagram, and fantastic account to follow on Instagram.
I try and do daily posts on there. I just posted up some live drawing I did my friend Kagan's studio last night.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah. You used to have is it a Gumroad account to sell your stuff? You never had any of that?
No, I just DM me and I pay
just through DMs. Okay.
Yeah, so I'll probably have to get like a big cartel store or something like have this volume out.
Yeah.
But.
Also, I just posted the link for the Kickstarter again in the chat. It is in the description. And honestly, man, this is a really reasonably priced book. American,
it's all like Canadian money. So like if you're in the States, it's like you just
$26. $26, man, for the.
Yeah, it's like 35 American or Canadian. So you can just like shave 30% off every figure. Like I made like I asked for like 10,000 Canadian, which is like 7,500 American. So the figures look less impressive if you're in the States than when I log on. I'm like, oh, I got like.
What I'm hearing is we got a 30% discount. So
exactly,
USA, USA. It's terrible here.
But yeah. So yeah. Like almost regretting not asking for more money now, but. It is great deal. It's going to be a great book.
I mean, you got 10 days left, so
10 days left. We're up to like 174 backers.
Yeah, and that's just your like bottom line goal. Like sky's the limit. So
yeah,
and I've got to say,
we get like the more we're going to invest back into the book. Like I'm just like trying to get as much. I'm hoping to do like a big print run where I have product on hand I can sell for months and months a year.
You should have put NSFW on the campaign, even though did you? Okay.
It's not in like the title, but it's like in the next line. I have a guy up here in Toronto. He comes to like the life drawing classes I go to. He actually handles the Raid Studio. They're like a studio here. They have a bunch of comic pros. Rome Perez is in there. There's a couple like colorists and stuff. And he handles all of their Kickstarters, so he's been giving me tips. So he's like, "Oh, don't put the extra like kind of you got more space in the title, but don't put NSW because then you might tick off like Facebook or something. We share the link." So, but it is like in the description, like the next line below it's NSW's in there.
Well, right off, it's the new NSFW post-apocalyptic graphic novel. That's the headline of the description right below the title for your Kickstarter. So it is written in there. Yeah. And I've got to say, man, anyone who's watching or catches this on the replay, this book is fantastic. I love this book. It's really good. It's definitely for mature readers, but not to an extreme. Not to an extreme. Like, it's still the sexual content, and it is very. I thought it was very tastefully done.
I don't know about that, but
I don't know. I mean,
I wouldn't say tasteful, Joe. I'd say mild.
I wheel it back after the first issue. Let's say that.
Yeah.
I think it's misleading.
Yeah, you're almost.
It's misleading because of the get up.
Yeah.
But in the end, I mean, that relationship's very endearing.
It's almost wholesome by the time you get to the end.
Exactly.
It comes out as like where you started versus how it started versus how it's going. It's sort of like a surprise, which I think was like one of the nice elements of the book people kind of responded to, was that relationship. Like, I'm doing interviews now with people, they always kind of bring it up, like, ends up being kind of sweet at the end, you know?
Very much so.
Yeah. But I think like when I posted it, like people were kind of caught off guard with it. They weren't expecting like a happy ending. It was like, but then it's like, I feel like if you really think about it and like look at the elements I set up, like it was really like the only place to go.
Yeah.
With that.
It's almost like a red herring, really. That like the get up in the beginning, the way she's dressed and everything. It's
the way he's treating her,
and the way he is, like a very big, imposes his will with very little patience, and very
that never really
cold.
Changes throughout the book. He's always
like really cold, almost. And the only time he shows like a little warmth is in that relationship,
really
right?
Towards her, but then it's like really like his only. It's really like his only motivation through the whole book is kind of like he's thinking about her and like the baby they're having. And that's really like the whole motivation. Like he keeps saying, I ain't got time, but like you get to the end and you sort of recontextualize like what he actually means. When he's like keeps telling everybody, like, I don't have time for this. Hey.
Yeah. Oh man, but it's fantastic. Like I was hooked. After that, there is that one incident that happens with the pig character where he's calling him boss and everything. And Johnny's like, dude, I fucking...
People are still mad at me about that.
Yeah, Johnny was like, what the fuck, man?
I still get comments.
Just a little bit.
I still get comments about that. No, it's like I was coming up with the story, and it was like going to be super simple, bare bones sort of narrative, and just like the action scene and stuff. But I'm like, I gotta have a ending, something. I need something for the end, and then I came up with that, and it just kind of clicked. And it's like, oh, okay, I got a book now. And it's sort of like a punctuation at the end of the story. Just this is like super hardcore cutthroat, literally.
Exactly.
Kind of post-apocalyptic setting where everything, all the bets are off. You don't know what's going to happen. No one's safe. Type deal, right?
That's that's like from out of left field, because you think, this is going to be like a sidekick type thing, like the comic relief and stuff, and then it's like, bam! That you throw that in there, and you're like
in my head, I just need him there long enough to explain what's going on, set up the stage, and like everything, and then after that, like you don't really need him. And like in my head, that guy, this was always the plan. Like once he outlived his usefulness, he's just going to, because like food's hard to come by.
Exactly.
And if you're walking around like in the desert, like that stuff's going to rot. And if you leave him alive, he can carry stuff for you in the meantime.
Well, see, when I saw it, I got the sidekick vibe, but I was thinking of Oolong from Dragon Ball, and I was like, either that or Phil from Hercules.
Just very yappy kind of. You're almost like, he's cute, but like you're almost glad. I wanted him to be annoying enough. You're almost kind of glad he's gone.
Yeah.
But I think most people they like the design. We thought it was cute. I still like to this day, like people still like message me. I'm like, yeah, great book, but I'm still fucked up over like what you did to that pig.
It's good though. I was like, oh, that was a selling point for me.
No, like when I came up with that ending, like I knew I had a book there, and then like seeing everybody's reaction, that was like what I was living for. Like everybody, like when I was serializing, putting up like panel by panel, when I dropped that one, like people were just crushed and like, why James?
Yeah, but I mean that's great. That's you demand people's attention when you do something like that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It was just sort of like slap you across the face and like, yeah, this is how the book ends, everybody.
Yeah, and when we were DMing, that came back to the other thing I never finished on. Is I actually told you I counted out the number of C words that the main that were used, which is really the K word, which is the K word. Yeah, you switched out the C for the K.
Yeah, right? I just thought it would be funny if you like ran around screaming that, because I'm kind of like that. When I get like really angry at somebody or exasperate, stub my toe, like I'll just scream that out loud. So
yeah,
bit of autobiographical.
I know a lot of people.
We can say that, right? We're not monetized. We can say cunt, right?
Yeah.
So there you go. Yeah. So there.
Tuesday, but it's
yeah. So and the big yellow dude uses it a lot, but it's sprinkled in with some other characters too. And the final count, I came to 34 times, nice. And 31 of them were by the big yellow dude, and 3 other occasions by some of the other characters. Yeah,
I think the Marauders drop one, it. I think maybe the one girl.
The one girl does, yeah. And one of the Candyman guy there, he drops it once as
General
well.
Candy, yeah,
yeah.
But the one is like kind of like this new speak, like people, the language is deteriorating, and sort of like different people have like weird phrasing and stuff, and sort of like the guy almost like in the first chapter, he's almost talking in rhyme, kind of like almost a lyrical kind of sort of thing. Like, you know, William Gibson, he always talked about like composing his prose like they were song lyrics and stuff like that. So it wanted kind of a rhythm to like the way he talked.
So why did you make him yellow? Is it just random choice, or is there something just random?
No, like I said, when I drew the original Ren Xerox,
yeah,
Tales to Enlighten, I made him yellow. I just thought that was fun.
So that's okay. Just
so it's kind of like stream of consciousness. Like at least the first issue where I was developing the idea, I was like pulling in all these random things. Like the title Pissant Apocalypse. Like I have a running list of titles I think it would be cool for a story, but I need to come up with a story for them. And I came up with this character, and then I thought Pissant Apocalypse. That was one of the ones I always liked that. Just the way it sounds. I'm like, oh, that works for this guy. So it's like post-apocalyptic thing. So he's got all these bandages because he walks around the desert getting fights with people.
Yeah.
And he gets fucked up. So he's got to put more bandages on. So that's why and that's just kind of follow that train of thought.
Yeah. So are you planning like maybe a prequel type thing, or?
I do have an idea for another book. I don't want to get too into it, but it would be kind of both a sequel, but it would flash back to like how they got together, like how the whole thing, and like, you know, how do he get so fucked up and lose his eye? I would explain all that. People have questions like that, and I have an idea for a story where it would both kind of like you would like push forward with like the characters I introduced at the very end. You'd get to know them, but it would also kind of like flash back and forth between that and like sort of the origin story of these guys. So, and the two stories would complement each other and build off of each other, and it would end up like wrapping around. Because like this book, there's a lot of flashbacks, so that would fit. But not to get too much in the plot, but if I do that book, it's going to be called Pissant Ascension. So you got Pissant Apocalypse, Pissant Ascension.
And you could give a little fan service. You could bring the pig back for a little bit if you.
No, he's not. Well, like I was thinking, maybe like the kids, they have like talking pigs.
Okay.
But like as a rite of passage, like shit's going down. It's like, okay, like
you're out. You're out on a journey. Then
no, but the problem is, like we're under siege, so we need food, guys. So we're gonna have you. We're kind of at war now, so you're gonna have to kill your pets.
But not just that. Like even then, he couldn't wait too long before he did it, because the longer it goes and the less they eat, the pig starts to get skinny. Yeah,
well, she was like,
so you got to do it while he's still fairly plump, right? So,
well, it's sort of like, I don't want to get too graphic, but it's like some people read that passage, they don't know what's going on, but like he realizes like the girl needs to be fed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, and they don't really have anything else. So he just sort of makes the decision. It's time to kill. But I might bring
Executive
the girl
decision.
back, the brown-haired girl back as like an AI, because like the king of the world, maybe he's got an AI in his little cathedral thing that he's got, and that would kind of be a cool sort of statement. Like he's got this AI that's like modeled after this girl. So it'd be like a different character, but she would show up in her little schoolgirl outfit when she looked younger. I think that'd be kind of like an interesting way to tie her back. Yeah, this girl. Yeah, she shows up as like the AI of the castle, and all the kids think of her as like, oh, it's the ghost. Dad threw her off the castle. Now she's a ghost, and she haunts us. And that would kind of like explain like, oh, the kids can read, they can do this, they can do that, because she's there teaching them this stuff, right? So that's kind of like, I thought that'd be a cool sort of way to bring that character back in some form.
Well, if the yellow one is Papa Pissant, she's definitely Mother Cunt.
That's I don't know about Mother, but yeah, it's Mama Pissant, the other girl, but she's I think they just call her the ghost. None of the characters really have names. Is the other thing. There's like a couple of the villains have names, but like your main kind of crew you're following around, I never bothered naming them because they didn't need one. I didn't think.
Don't got time for it.
Yeah, I ain't got time for a name. That was like one of the first, when I was coming up with like the larger story, that was kind of like one of the first exchanges I came up with. And like, oh, that'd be a good moment. I did get some compliments like, oh, that's really badass when he says that. It's like,
that's punk rock as fuck, yeah, man.
Yeah. When you come up with something and then like 2 years later you actually execute it and people give you compliments, that's like, yeah, it's like good feeling. Like my Faster Pussycat Kill. Sure. There you go. Good shot.
Nice.
Got my very nice Hellboy shirt on.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah, we're talking about movies. I'm a big Russ Meyer fan. That's a good movie. That's a good influence to have. Certainly on my work.
Okay, so this Kickstarter has 10 days left. Just to remind people, 10 days left. Johnny threw the link in the chats, and it's also in the description below if you're catching it on the replay, so you can go back that. Like I said, a fantastic book. I loved it. You got the art is outstanding. Like
Thank you very much.
If you buy books for art, then this book is definitely going to satisfy that itch. And on top of that, it's just a really fun, great story as well. So, I mean, you throw that in with fantastic art, and you've got a winner. And I mean, I don't think anyone will be disappointed with this. If you like weird tales, this definitely.
Yeah. The book is 100% finished. I might just I'm waiting for some more people to come back and proofread it, and we're going to do we got finalized the final print copy. We're printing locally. I'm going to go over there, hatch it all out with it, and that's really just figuring out the printing is the last hurdle we need to do. And hopefully we can get the whole book done and out to people by the end of the year is sort of what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, if you like classic movies and pulp comic books, man, this is like the perfect cross-pollination of those two topics, man, almost perfectly. Like,
thank you. I think we lost somebody.
Yeah. He's been having a little bit of trouble.
He's been having trouble all night. But yeah, that's basically the book, guys. Pissant Apocalypse on Kickstarter. Check it out. We got 10 days left to go. And we're already funded. Book's definitely going to happen. It's just, how nice a book can we get with your support?
Yeah.
Oh, is that what the add-ons are going to be? Like the
I just announced the stretch goal. So 15,000. We're going to up the paper quality. Like right now, the quote I got like the base level basic that I can get for like the print run I need. Like after 15K, I'll have like more wiggle room to start adding more production value to the final book. And 20K, I'm going to add some process pages to the back where, I'll show off some of these sketches from the sketchbook and sort of walk you through how I came up with the story, basically what I've been talking about tonight. But I'm going to have like examples, and you can see like, the different stages to the process of creating the book. Probably like 11 or 8 or 9, 10 pages I'll add to the back of it at 20K. And then at 30K, we'll up it to a hardcover edition. Everybody will get it. So
nice.
if we can get to 30K.
That's the best kind of Kickstarter, in my opinion, where you actually throw the stretch goals into like actually boosting the quality of the book. Like that.
Yeah, like it's a one-man show over here. I'm not worried about paying people or making the money back. I paid like the letter or whatever. I did everything myself. So really, I'm just concerned about making a product that I can sell to people. It's the big thing. And just how nice can I get this book? It's my first time sort of solo crowdfunding printing the book. So a bit of a learning curve, but yeah, it's the last hurdle really to get this book out to people. It's just figuring out working with a printer.
Nice. How have you found doing your Kickstarter?
What?
How have you found the experience of doing your own Kickstarter?
It's been, pretty good, pretty fun. Just asking for people's advice who have done it before, and they give it to you usually, and you go do it, and it works out all right. It's like a little nerve-wracking at the start because you're like the first day is really busy, and then you kind of level out a bit. It's like, oh, we're going to make it to our goal, but now we've made it, and kind of the pressure's off in some regard, and we're just trying to like, how much further can we push it?
Yeah.
And by we, I mean me. But,
Yeah, you have some great stretch goals, like Johnny said, like upgrading the paper, upgrading the cover. I mean,
yeah, adding more sort of material to the back, give you an insight to the process. I think I didn't want to get promising the moon, over my head, promising everybody the moon. Oh, we're going to do T-shirts, we're going to do posters, because I don't really have like experience printing those. I just want to like really just focus on getting a good book out there.
The book, yeah.
Books what matters. Books what I'm selling. I think it's a quality story and like great artwork, like you're saying. I think everybody's giving me the chance to get it out to people now. I really appreciate it. Everybody support it, and if anybody is watching and they haven't supported, I hope I can earn your support too.
Yeah, I think if anyone picks up this book,
I'm trying to be heartfelt. My heartfelt plea to the audience.
But if anyone picks this up and reads it, I mean, I guarantee they become a fan.
I think so. I'm really proud of this. Every aspect, the writing and everything. I think this is really kind of come to my own as a writer on this project, and that was sort of like, I've always been a good artist, but I had to prove to people I can write to, and just kind of being fearless about it, because everybody's too uptight these days, I feel like. There you go. That's you got the giant just a giant pile of bodies. It's real. It's that's the kind of book we got, guys.
Well, the thing is like it's dark, but like it's very nicely darkly humored.
It's very satirical. Whimsical. Like, yeah, it's kind of almost a political satire in some regards. Like, I don't slap you over the face with what I'm talking about, but if you know what I'm talking about, it's fairly obvious. Like, I've had people like,
I'm pretty sure like you don't have to look too hard to get it, but if you don't look for it and you miss it, you'd probably still enjoy the book.
There's like twists and turns. It's not really about the political sort of statement I'm trying to make. It's more following these guys' characters, and like the part that, as I was writing it, that interests me the most was kind of the arc of the architects of the apocalypse, and sort of not spelling out what happened, but suggesting it to the audience, letting your imagination fill in the blanks. You just get enough information to figure out like where everything went wrong and why everything fell apart for them.
Well, we also get the motivation of our main character, which is almost complete apathy, which is wonderful in contrast to the message that you're giving. So I kind of like that.
Yeah, he's sort of like a counterpoint, because like the architects of the apocalypse are very self-serious, and like they got this whole grand vision for themselves, and our character is just like so removed, could not give a fuck about any of these guys or why they want to do it. Like, he's basically been tricked into tracking these guys down because the girl gets in his ear like, they're going to come after you. Do you want that while you got like the baby out and like you got more mouths to feed, or you want to just take care of it now? Because I can show you where they are and you can go take care of it. And that's basically, and he's just more put upon and like frustrated by it than anything else, which I thought was kind of like a funny sort of juxtaposition.
Yeah, and you communicate that really well at the end about him not really caring about any of that, with at the end after the king with the crown and what he does. Like he has no interest. Like, he has the one goal in mind, and that's it. That's the only important thing in his life, and I think that was a great couple panels at
I
the
think
end.
it's like a good message for people in general. There's sort of a moral to the story. All glory's fleeting.
Yeah.
The land of the blind, one-eyed man's king.
Also, we were touching on it before, is if people love this, then you're going to be coming at them fairly quickly with another Kickstarter after this is funded. Your
Evil
first book,
Comics.
Evil. Yeah, you're going to...
Which is about a mass luchador wrestler named Sammy Destino, whose girlfriend is kidnapped by the Space Thunder Death Cult, and he's got to go track them down and get revenge before midnight when they sacrifice her to demons and open a portal to hell, bring the end of the world.
And this was your first comic.
This is my first comic, and I've revised it since, and I'll probably do more revisions. This will be my third time going through this fucking thing.
So that's
finally get out, but I'll finally get it out to people, and then I got to do volume 2 because volume 1 ends on a cliffhanger.
Yeah. And also, if people want to see more of your work, like we said, you worked on Tales to Enlighten, the first volume, and you did some work in the second volume.
Yeah,
so
I
you
did
can go
a 4-pager for the second volume.
Yeah, to set up the stories, kind of the way it sets up to do all the little anthology stories in it. Exactly.
Yeah, I wanted kind of like a sign. Like I knew Matt had been working on had started commissioning all these short stories, so I kind of knew it was just going to go off in a million directions. And he wanted me to do something for it, but I knew better than to do his script because, okay, I'll do 4 pages. Okay, I'll do 8. I'll do fucking 100. So I just I'll do these 4 pages, and that I wrote, and it was just kind of like bridging the end of the first book with the beginning of the new book, and you get the characters sort of setting up all these different anthologies, stories, in the same universe.
That book is available if you go hit up Matt.
His Etsy account, King Megatrip at Etsy.
King Megatrip, yeah. And you you can get Tales to Enlighten. That's available. So if you want to get more of James's work, that's a fantastic book. I highly recommend that one as well.
Matt was in the chat one of my other interviews. We were live, and he said he only had 99 copies left. And I know I've sold a few through the campaign. People asking me. We were talking. I might mention it earlier. Like people have been asking. If they could get a tier where they get both, but I've been redirecting to Matt's Etsy account, so I know I've sold a few since then, so at least 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So he's running out quick. I thought it'd be sold out already, but 99 last count.
Are there any other projects you worked on that are still available if people want to go check your stuff out? Aside from that,
you can get the zines. I'm reprinting the zines. We were talking about Arthur and Boom Boom. Sort of Scissors, which was my first paid comic work, which is a very short romance comic. What was the other book? Oh, there's the prologue for Tales to Enlighten I did with Matt. That was kind of like an Inktober project I had. That's was like an advertisement to build up to Tales to Enlighten.
Okay.
And you can get a collection of Rob Ford portraits that I did, and that's all in the original zine tier. I might be working with the guy who did the voiceover. I shouted him out earlier. Fearless Fred Kennedy, who is a radio personality up here in Toronto. He does comics too. He has Dead Romans through Image, which is on the stands right now, I believe. And we might be doing something over the winter together, but we'll see.
Nice little tease.
You're gonna be popping off, man. Nice.
Yeah, hopefully. Just keep living indoors, making art. Is the goal.
Whatever comes your way, any success, I based on what I've seen from your work, you very much deserve it, and I hope for all the best for you, man.
Starting to get a bit of clout. James Robinson just followed me yesterday on Instagram, so
nice.
I think another guy who I think he did comics for BuzzFeed back in the day. He's got like 1.3 million followers or something on Instagram. He followed me too, and he was like commenting my stuff and looking at my stores.
Is that the Bomb Queen guy, James Robinson? He does Junkrabbit now? Or?
He did, Airboy. He did JLA for a while. Starman.
Okay,
I really liked Airboy. That was a really good book. I think Hinkle was the artist from that. He's been following me for a while. We sort of like each other's stuff back and forth.
Very cool.
Yeah. Read Airboy. That's a good one. I think he disowned that one though. I don't know. It was weird. Yeah, over the art.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Look, I can't say enough. People, go back this book. You won't be disappointed. Great art, fun story. It's sprinkled with a little bit of weird, like
I lean
offbeat
into the
kind
weird. It is very weird, offbeat, but it is grounded in like a solid story. And then once you get into it, there is a logic to it. Like there's weird talking animals, but even that I kind of explain.
Yeah. Which is great too. I love that little story. It's cute. Like from these little cute things to what they become, right?
Yeah. Well, I figured like you got the talking pig in the first issue. I'm like, where does this talking pig come from? Then you establish it. It's sort of like they got this whole genetics program where they're making these like hybrid animals. That the implication is he spun out from that project that they got.
Yeah, definitely. If you love comics, this is a comic definitely that you should read because, it's everything I love in a comic. So,
I put everything I had into it, and I do that with all my work. So, all or nothing. I was just trying to think of like a publishing name. I thought like AON, all or nothing, be a good publishing name for my thing.
There you go. Yeah, a lot of these guys all find like for their self-published stuff, they find a little like kind of company name or some way to represent themselves. So yeah.
Well, now
I think that'd be a good one.
Everybody's got their own imprint. So yeah, even when they go and work for like big name brands and stuff, like everybody's got their own little imprint now.
Yeah, well, I think you kind of need it when you're self-publishing, just so you have like a publishing name for. You don't want to use your like legal name on your like when you're doing your taxes and stuff, and like if you ever sell your IPs, it becomes complicated. Okay. So you want to come up with like some sort of handle. I think is the idea, or so I've heard, as I understand.
That's all right. Yeah, man. Like, and as you go, you meet more people, you network. So more people will give you pro tips on how to do stuff. So. Yeah, man.
Yeah, just trying to get back into marketing or trying to market stuff. We do more interviews and get out in front of people. Try to learn to be more charismatic on camera. If we're going to like spending years locked in my room just drawing all day, not talking to people, to being on camera, trying to entertain and be engaging.
I think that's just a natural progression of getting older. You just become a little more introverted as you get older. And
I was always introverted. It's nothing new for me. But now I gotta be salesman, Stanley, used car salesman out there trying to get some books, try to move some paper.
That's right, true believers.
That's right.
Excelsior.
All right, man. Johnny, did you have anything else you wanted to touch on before we wrap things up?
No, like I kind of covered that. If you're in the States, man, this book, it's $26. That's a really good price for
165 pages.
Yeah, for a full graphic novel.
I'll probably when I put it up online, I'll probably have to charge more. But so get in now. It's a real deal.
Yeah, and if we play our cards right and enough people get in on it, we'll get a hardcover for that price, and that's unreal.
We can get about another 18.5K Canadian in the next 10 days. Can we do
it? Possibly. I mean, sometimes you get those pushes right at the end. I mean,
I got a bunch of people following I got like over 200 and something people following. So if all those people back, maybe we'll see. We got more interviews coming up. We got maybe some people making videos shouting it out. Just trying to get the word out best we can. The last sort of push right now. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. So,
well, I mean, already, 10,000 Canadian is a really good start. I mean,
we get books 100% happening. It's enough money to. I want to get like a certain amount printed, like a certain print run. But if I could always just print less and just make sure I get it. It's kind of everybody's getting the book. That's what I'm saying.
And I think Kickstarter is a community, right? This is your first Kickstarter. Some people are probably familiar from backing Tales to Enlighten.
I think the other thing with like Tales to Enlighten was like Matt literally had dozens and dozens of artists like doing pinups and like other comics for it, so they were all promoting it too, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just one guy.
Like you're building it, like it's a community, right? Mm-hmm. So this is your first Kickstarter, which I think you did a fantastic job. I mean, the funding at 10,000 Canadian, which is about 7 something US,
like 7,500.
That's a fairly good amount, especially for your first Kickstarter. And from there, you build your following, right?
Well, that's the thing. You gotta like build upon each campaign. Is how you do exactly. It. And I got the next one in the chamber ready to go.
Yeah.
So once this is fulfilled after the holidays, after tax season, we're good to go. Yeah. Once people have money again.
So I think it's a good sign, man. It's a good sign. I think the sky's
pretty
the
good
limit.
about it.
Yeah.
And I think like once people read the book, like you said, if they can get past the initial shock and awe of like, all the crazy stuff at the start, especially, they'll realize there's a story and sort of a whole interweaving plot that goes, twists and turns and sort of subverts your expectations in a good way.
At the beginning of the book, I specifically told Joe I found it disturbing. That is my terminology. But then I love the book. I like the relationship. I thought that, I mean, it's still different. You know what I mean? Like, but
that's the heart of it. It's really kind of a love story when you get right down to it. There is like a romance, and that's really the heart of the book. And like, it's the end of the world. It's post-apocalypse. Society's broken down. People have like degraded to their base. Instincts, and like I started in the middle of lockdown, so everybody was in kind of a dark place, and that's sort of where it came out of, and sort of finding our way out of it has sort of been the process too. And it's sort of like as I was working on it, like real life world events kind of mirrored like the story in a weird way. Comics are kind of like magic like that, I think. Like with Tales to Enlighten, there'd be like I'd be drawing some chick that like Matt would write it too, would be the weird part. And I'd be drawing this girl, and then I would meet a girl, and then she would disappear as soon as like I was done with those pages. And it got to the point where it's like at the end you have like the fairy princess, where that's sort of like expand. I was in like a relationship with this chick, and it's just like as soon as I get to the end where what happens, not to spoil it, like she's gonna like disappear and it's gonna be a shit show, and like it happened. That's how it played out too. So it's bizarre like that. It's sort of like Grant Morrison. He talks about like comics being magic, or even Dave Sim. If you've read Strange Death of Alex Raymond, have you heard of that one? Dave Sim did Cerebus. His latest book that just came out, Strange Death of Alex Raymond. You read it. He's like a crazy person. He's lost his fucking mind. And it's like it reads like some homeless person's manifesto, but it's really like this like really talented, amazing draftsman just has completely gone off the deep end. He's talking about like comic book metaphysics, and basically like it's kind of like because like I know like Grant Morrison, I've heard like similar stuff. I kind of know what he's talking about. It's kind of like that Oprah book, The Wish, but it's like you're not just manifesting, you're like manifesting your own world within the comic strip.
Okay.
And like especially back in those days, like this was like the one like everybody read Terry and the Pirates. Everybody read these comic strips because they didn't have television. It was like the only visual action medium you could get.
Okay.
So this sort of like collective plugging into this book sort of like end up influencing reality, according to Dave Sim, in some weird regard, some weird metaphysical way. Kind of went on a tangent there, but
that's all right.
Comics are magic, guys. That's what I'm trying to say.
Definitely.
You get a journey kind of unlike anything else I've seen in a long time in comics. And I like I said, you got to watch some really obscure old art house films to kind of get, the type of stuff that James is telling here. But like I said, he completely translates it into comic book form, like perfectly. Whereas I think that like he made something that's equal to a lot of the people he's brought up in the past couple sentences. And this self-portrait I absolutely adore, with your own creations with you. Man.
Yeah. You got Manfred and Sam. They're the main characters of Tales to Enlighten. In the back there, you got Sammy Destino. That's sort of like me. Like I worked in the factory and I stole about a bunch of my work shirts, and now I'm like sitting around in like my work shirts when I'm working.
Nice.
It's got my name on it, everything. So.
Man, thanks for coming on. I mean, love the book, so just love sitting here talking to you about it and getting a little more insight into what went into it. And nice to hear that you already have more stuff planned coming out, and possibly some collaborations that might turn out to be something a little, you know,
a little
interesting.
Different. I don't want to get too much into it, but
no,
it's going to be like a straight up comedy. This next piece, action comedy, just like think like Airplane, like Sharknado, just complete insanity.
Just love hearing that you have stuff coming and that you're busy and we're gonna be
I can't
spoiled.
Stop. I don't know. I can't.
Spoiled with some more of your work. I mean, hopefully. Anytime you put something out, it's a treat, and I think we're all benefit from it. So thanks
all the
a lot.
readers, all the backers, they make it possible, and I appreciate every single one of them. So
nice.
And I hope to get more tonight if you're watching.
Perfect, man. So Johnny, man, let's close it out.
Yeah, Friday we're going to be starting early. We got Monty Nero from the UK. He's going to be on. We're going to be talking, I think, Death Sentence. I think he's got a new Death Sentence book coming out from Titan that he's going to be wanting to promote, which should be a lot of fun. He's a really rad creator. So, yeah, we're going to be 2 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Great Britain time. I know that, and 1 o'clock Central time, my time. So, yeah.
Like 8 hours difference, yeah.
So, yeah. So we'll see you guys Friday. Until then, have a wonderful week.